Differentiation. It's all the talk right now in education. And basically what differentiation is creating a classroom to meet the needs of every student. Most of us in our classrooms, we are adding something else to our curriculum. We're trying to get students who are excelling or exceeding standards into higher level classes with more engagement. We're trying to teach so that students who learn verbally can get the teaching that they need, and students that learn more visually can get the teaching that they need as well. We're looking at the way that our students engage with the material, and we're trying to change our plans to help them. But can we really call what we are doing now differentiation? Some main things that differentiation is not is something extra or something more. Differentiation is not tracking. It's not putting students into different level classes. It's not teaching for multiple intelligences or different learning preferences, and it's not reactive. Which brings us to our next question: what is differentiation? As we said before, differentiation is creating a classroom that meets the needs of all students. It's a proactive response to students' needs, which means that I know my students' needs and am able to anticipate them and plan for them. I don't wait for the students to enter my classroom, engage in the material, and then notice there's a problem and change my plans. With differentiation, we know our students so well that we prepare for any special needs or any needs that a student may have. It requires a lot of planning, and it requires planning for diversity within the classroom. Students all bring diversity to the table. We have students that come from different backgrounds. We have students that excel in certain subjects. We have students with different viewpoints or different ways to learn. And creating an environment, a lesson that will draw on the diversity within the classroom will help students to help each other. This means involving group and individual tasks so that students can work together but can also break off individually into how they learn best and how they can engage with the material, allowing the content to be used in a variety of ways. This means that we don't just allow students to engage with the material in the way that we see it or the way the book sees it, but we allow students who come from a different background, students that understand different things like agriculture or business or world affairs, that they're able to draw on what they know, draw on their background, and engage with the content in their own way. Differentiation should allow for all students to do more than would be possible without it. We're not looking at differentiation as a means to the same end. We look at differentiation as a way to help students get further than what we had already planned to reach. Differentiation is flexible. This is a way, it's so student focused that we allow the needs of our students to change our plans. We need to be ready to adapt and somewhat go out of our comfort zone in order to meet the needs of the students. This comes back to knowing the students' needs, knowing the students' backgrounds, knowing the students' weaknesses in a certain concept so that we can really focus on helping the student where they're at. Differentiation is necessary for success for a broad range of learners. When we just deliver the material, the students are unable to connect it if it doesn't address their need. or their misunderstanding. As we know our students and we're able to apply the material, apply the content in a way as to address the needs of various students, we're able to help these learners have success. And we must design lessons around patterns of student need. If we find that our class struggles to express their thoughts clearly, we may differentiate the classroom so that the students are able to make that connection. Perhaps the students could narrate their thoughts and then hear themselves back in order to make changes and express themselves clearly on paper. If a student is struggling to apply the concepts of a certain subject, we could find something in their background, we could draw on something in their background to help them apply it. Differentiation is creating a lesson plan that allows the student to engage in the material in this way that it addresses their specific needs. But it also allows other students to do the same. What does this look like? This is a teacher allowing students to arrive at the same conclusion or concept through a variety of different paths that best help each student. It is not that students are left to wander on their own, or that a student reaches one conclusion while another student reaches another conclusion. The students are all going to the same conclusion, but they're allowed the opportunity to take a different path that helps them to understand it and helps them to apply it. The paths begin at their varied levels of readiness and support them in learning so that they can accomplish more with the material. This means that a student who has no conceptual understanding is able to begin where they are and develop it, and it brings them to the same point as someone who understood the procedures and basic concepts but needed to go deeper. Let's examine a few ways that we can do this. Suppose that in my classroom I am teaching a geometry classroom about proofs. I know that my students are at varied levels of readiness. What can I do? As you'll notice here, teachers can differentiate through content, process, product, and environment. This means that I can choose one of 4 or several of these ways to differentiate. The first being content. This means that I can present the content in different ways. Some of my students may be used to looking at a mathematical proof or reading math, and they can read the contents that way. Other students may do better with verbal arguments, and they're able to understand that way. The content can be provided through a video or a book or a demonstration, and students can have the opportunity to choose which of these content areas, or the teacher, with their knowledge of the specific student's needs, can assign them or provide them those materials. The second method is through process, how students take in and make sense of the content. This means that the work that they do could look different. In my geometry classroom, I may allow a student to draw out a proof, or I may allow a student to read several proofs, go through the process to understand what it's meaning. I might allow them to watch a YouTube video or to discuss with classmates. But students are provided the correct process that meets their needs. It will allow them to learn and to make sense of it in the way that they need. The third is product. How students show what they know, understand, and can do. Product means that I can allow the students to show me what they know, not only in writing, but students can explain it to me verbally. Students who may struggle to write the symbols may be provided a document that helps them to do so. The product is what the students give you, and allowing them to give it to you in various forms allows them to attack their misunderstanding or their weakness head on and give it to you in the way that they can do best. The fourth is effect/environment, the climate or tone of the classroom. If I'm teaching a geometry class about proofs, I can take the students outside, provide them a different environment, allow them to go outside and find different shapes, and then tell me how they know that that is a particular shape. I can allow students to prove something, whether they're outside or they're inside or they're looking up at the clouds. Allowing them to have their environment could calm nerves, could help them with something that they're struggling through. Another thing that comes to my mind is allowing students to take this content in a different route. So going back to number one, for content, proving is like a legal situation or a detective work. We can allow them the opportunity to look at proofs in a different content. Look at proofs from a detective standpoint. How was he able to make that case? What proof did he have? In the process, we could allow a student to prove as detective work. Perhaps they don't prove geometry, but allow them to be familiar with the process of proving. With product, it can be the same thing, that they prove something. Perhaps it's not geometry, but they're able to show me in some form that they can prove it. And we're able to take that, what the students understand and how they've gone further with understanding what a proof is, and then we can apply it to our content area. It allows all the students to arrive at the same place at geometric proofs, but they're allowed to take different paths to get there. Paths that help them with their own needs, with their own weaknesses, and help them to use their own abilities and strengths to do so. If you would like more resources about differentiation, Dr. Tomlinson, a practitioner in the subject, has a video where she explains differentiation, what she has done in the classroom, and how we can better implement it. You can also check out this infographic that will explain why we need differentiation, how it is best implemented, and how we can address the needs of our students.